Mel got really upset at my baby shower. She insulted me and tried to name my baby, but things got out of control and she ended up getting arrested. I'm 29, married to my amazing husband Gary, and we're expecting our first child. Gary and I have been together for a long time, got married 4 years ago, and we've been trying to have a baby since last year. We were overjoyed when we found out about my pregnancy 6 months ago. We faced life's ups and downs together, and the news of our little one has brought so much happiness to our relationship. Every day brings us closer to meeting our baby, and we can't wait. Pregnancy has been a mix of emotions, from the excitement of finding out to feeling the baby kick. Gary has been my support through it all, attending every doctor's appointment, reading parenting books with me, and helping set up the nursery. We're fully in baby mode now, discussing names, decorating the nursery, and making plans for the future. Gary is thrilled to be a dad, and his enthusiasm warms my heart. We're sharing the preparations for the baby and facing the challenges and fun parts of pregnancy together, enjoying every moment. 2 months ago, we decided it was time to share the exciting news with our family. After making sure we passed the crucial first trimester, we invited our parents, close family, and friends for lunch. They were expecting a regular lunch, but when they noticed my growing stomach, their expressions changed to joy and amazement. My mother even started crying when she saw me and confirmed the pregnancy. My mom understood why we kept the pregnancy a secret and was happy to be a grandmother soon. However, Gary's mom, Barbara, had a different reaction. Instead of sharing our joy, she got angry when she found out we kept the pregnancy hidden. She felt left out and accused me of excluding her on purpose. Even though I tried to explain, she stayed mad and wouldn't talk to me. This put a damper on what should have been a joyful family occasion. Throughout the night, Barbara ignored me and even disrespected my mom, who had always been kind to her before. Barbara seemed upset, buried in her phone while everyone else talked. She openly told everyone how she had no idea about my pregnancy, making her feel like she missed out on time with a grandchild who wasn't even born yet. My husband and his brother noticed Barbara's frustration, and as tension grew, I reached a breaking point. I stepped out to gather myself, and my mom comforted me until I could return. At the end of the night, Barbara made a point of saying goodbye to me last, barely exchanging more than a quick greeting. Later, my husband walked them to the car, where they had a loud argument that I could hear from the foyer. Barbara used the opportunity to complain about me, making the situation even stranger. Luckily, all our guests had left by then. It was just my parents, Gary, and his parents left. Barbara angrily confronted Gary, expressing disbelief that I had the audacity to keep the pregnancy a secret from her, claiming I didn't consider her family. My husband calmly explained that we waited until it was safe to share the news, but Barbara started yelling. Their conversation went like this. Barbara, this is our grandchild. I deserve to know from the beginning. Gary, Mom, it's not about deserving. It was a decision we made together. We wanted to be cautious. Barbara, cautious? I am her mother-in-law. She should have trusted me. This is all her fault. My husband lost his temper, telling his mother it was their decision, and if she blamed me, she should blame him too. He asked her to stop attacking me and leave to cool off. Barbara stormed away, leaving my husband visibly frustrated and disappointed. I didn't realize tears were streaming down my face. Gary comforted me and guided me back inside. My parents stayed back, sensing the tension until I felt composed. Barbara didn't stop there. Later that night, I got a message from her. Anxiously, I read it, and it said, I must say I am deeply disappointed in you. You knowingly kept a significant piece of information from me, and I find it absolutely unforgivable. I can't believe you would rob me of the joy of knowing about my grandchild from the very beginning. This is not how a family should operate, and I find it disrespectful and hurtful. Instead of apologizing for your immature action, you are causing a divide between me and my son. Shame on you. Her words cut through me, and I felt a mix of anger and hurt. I showed the message to Gary, and he was furious. He couldn't understand why his mother would react so negatively and blame me. Gary decided to call her, warning her not to send such negative messages, as it might distress me further. He even threatened to cut her off if this behavior continued. Gary's words and angry tones seemed to have an impact on Barbara. Faced with the possibility of being cut off, she changed her tune. Instead of acknowledging her own role in the conflict, she proposed a solution. She claimed the only way she could forgive us was if we allowed her to throw us a baby shower. This sudden turn of events left us surprised and skeptical about her motives. She pleaded how nothing would bring her more joy than to throw a grand celebration for me and her grandchild, taking care of everything. Gary looked at me curiously, but I remained skeptical. Barbara's sudden change of heart seemed more like a tactical move to regain control and assert her dominance, rather than a genuine attempt at reconciliation. Despite my reservations, Gary, always wanting to find a middle ground and keep the peace, entertained the idea of accepting her offer. I expressed my concerns to Gary, stressing that accepting her offer might only fuel her belief that her behavior was acceptable. Gary understood my perspective but hoped that allowing his mother to throw a baby shower could be a way for us to mend fences before the baby arrived. I reluctantly agreed, and Gary informed his mother to go ahead with the planning for my baby shower. She was overjoyed and expressed her gratitude for allowing her to take charge. Despite entrusting her with this responsibility, I assumed there would be some level of collaboration where she would seek my input and consider my preferences for my own baby shower, with the event still a month away. I expected more detailed planning for my baby shower in the coming week. To my dismay, my mother-in-law went rogue, taking charge of everything without consulting anyone, including me. When my mom tried to discuss the baby shower with her, my mother-in-law simply said everything had been decided, and it would be a surprise for me. The lack of communication and consideration left me feeling disheartened and frustrated. On the day of my baby shower, the air was filled with a mix of excitement and tension. I arrived at the venue, a local banquet hall, surrounded by close friends eager to celebrate our upcoming little one. However, I couldn't help but notice the outrageous decorations my mother-in-law had chosen. A sea of brown and beige balloons, creating a theme that was entirely her creation. I absolutely hated the decoration. It looked like a misguided attempt at a safari theme gone wrong. The overwhelming presence of brown and beige clashed with the vibrant atmosphere I had envisioned. I had imagined soft pastels and delicate touches, but my mother-in-law had gone the opposite way. Tension escalated when I saw an eye-catching display near the entrance. An enormous banner featuring an elaborate collage of my husband's baby pictures with Barbara. Everyone looked confused, wondering why she chose to display my husband's baby pictures during my baby shower. She laughed it off, saying she expected our baby to look exactly like my husband, and she was proud of how cute he was as a child. I stared at her, trying to comprehend if she had lost her mind. It was clear she was determined to make the day more about her experiences as a mother than about the imminent addition to our family. As more guests arrived, their expressions ranged from confusion to polite discomfort. Looking around the room, the sea of brown and beige balloons, coupled with the towering banner showcasing my mother-in-law and my husband, created an ambience far from the elegant and joyous atmosphere I had envisioned for my baby shower. I exchanged apologetic glances with some of my friends who clearly shared my sentiment. When my mother walked in, her eyes widened in shock as she observed the horror my mother-in-law had unleashed upon the venue. Her eyes then locked onto the banner, and I could sense her disbelief at the audacity of showcasing a collage that seemed more like an exhibition of my husband's childhood. In a bold move, my mother walked over to the banner. Her expression shifted from disbelief to determination. Without uttering a word, she firmly grabbed hold of the banner, decisively removing it from its prominent display. The room fell silent, and all eyes turned toward my mother as she carried away the intrusive display that overshadowed the celebration. I couldn't help but feel a surge of gratitude toward my mother for her unwavering support. My mother-in-law, who was busy talking to other guests, looked in horror as my mother threw the banner into the dustbin. In a disapproving tone, she asked what my mother thought she was doing, insisting the banner was a special touch to celebrate the baby and the family. Undeterred by the disapproval, My mother responded with a firm yet composed voice, asserting that the celebration was about me and my baby, not a showcase of my mother-in-law's personal achievements. The guests around them were drawn to this unexpected confrontation. Undeterred by the disapproval, my mother responded with a firm yet composed voice, asserting that the celebration was about me and my baby, not a showcase of my mother-in-law's personal achievements. The guests around them were drawn to this unexpected confrontation. My mother-in-law, sensing the attention shift, tried to regain control of the situation, explaining she thought it would be nice for everyone to know who was responsible for the event's beauty. She wanted everyone to see how cute Gary was as a child. However, my mother continued, reminding her that she begged me to allow her to throw the baby shower, and that it wasn't a platform for her personal agenda or an attempt to steal the spotlight. The room hushed as the exchange unfolded, with guests glancing at each other uncomfortably. Realizing her attempt to dictate the narrative had backfired, my mother-in-law retreated with a forced smile and returned to her conversations with other guests. Despite the tension lingering throughout the event, the baby shower continued, with me trying my best to focus on the positive energy for my friends and family. I thought there wouldn't be any more surprises from my mother-in-law, who seemed to be drinking a bit too much for a baby shower. We played various party games, and the guests were slowly starting to enjoy themselves. Then came the gift opening session, and everyone's thoughtful gifts for my baby were pleasant surprises. However, my anticipation turned to bewilderment when my mother-in-law handed me a conspicuously large gift box with an exaggerated smile. The room fell silent, and I felt a mixture of embarrassment and frustration. My mother looked at her angrily, and the guests exchanged awkward glances, unsure of how to react. Trying to diffuse the tension, I mustered a weak smile and thanked her for the thoughtful gift, suppressing the urge to roll my eyes. The situation escalated during the cake-cutting ceremony. My mother-in-law had ordered an extravagant tiered cake with over-the-top decorations. She made a big show of it, clinking her glass to make everyone look at her. Wondering what she was up to, we all looked at her curiously and waited for her to speak. Barbara then announced that she had come up with the perfect name for our baby girl. Keep in mind, we hadn't even settled on a name ourselves. She proudly declared that the baby would be named after her great-grandmother, with a name that seemed straight out of a Victorian novel. I was shocked and a little irritated that she assumed she had the naming rights. I stepped in politely, explaining that my husband and I wanted to pick our baby's name together. It was a decision we wanted to make as parents. However, my mother-in-law wasn't having any of it. She insisted she had the perfect name, and if I were a good daughter-in-law, I should accept it, given the money she had spent on the baby shower. I was shocked at her sense of entitlement. I firmly stated that only my husband and I had the right to name our baby, regardless of who hosted the baby shower. This decision was ours alone. That's when my mother-in-law started yelling at me in front of everyone, claiming I found myself in an extremely difficult situation as my mother-in-law, Barbara, became increasingly aggressive and disrespectful at my baby shower. She insisted that she should have the right to name my baby and criticized my upbringing, claiming I should be thanking her instead of denying her this supposed right. Barbara grew more and more aggressive, pointing her fingers at my face. My mother stepped in as a shield, but Barbara continued to shout, asserting herself as the actual mommy of my baby, claiming that she gave birth to my husband and it was his sperm that impregnated me. Her words were truly disgusting. Despite my mother's attempts to stop Barbara's nasty comments, she just got angrier, insulting me and claiming my mom did a terrible job raising me. It was clear she had too much to drink, and trying to talk sense into her was pointless. The situation was getting worse, making everyone uncomfortable. Realizing the escalating situation, I decided I had endured enough humiliation. Trying to salvage some dignity, I walked out with the gifts my friends had generously brought, leaving behind the present my mother-in-law had given me. However, in her intoxicated state, Barbara snatched the gifts back from my hand and tossed them to the ground, accusing me of being ungrateful and a witch who was coming between her and her son. The tense atmosphere drew more attention, and I noticed some people starting to film the incident. To contain the chaos, I asked one of my close friends to politely request people to leave the event. Undeterred, Barbara continued hurling nasty accusations, creating a scene that no one could have anticipated. Frustration turned to anger, and as a last resort, I decided to call the police to remove her from my vicinity, as I was starting to feel extremely unsafe with her aggressive behavior. Yes, you read that right. I had to involve the police at my own baby shower because of my toxic mother-in-law. When the officers showed up, Barbara went into full drama mode, pointing fingers at me and painting me as the mastermind behind the chaotic event. The cops, thankfully understanding, attempted to reason with her. However, being drunk, she resisted their efforts and even started yelling at the police, which didn't work in her favor. The situation escalated to the point where she was arrested on the spot. I left the event with my mother and close friends, all of us shaken up by the unsettling incident. Since this incident, my husband and I have been dealing with the fallout. My mother-in-law is on a full-blown guilt trip, playing the victim card and garnering sympathy from some family members who were not present at the baby shower because they don't live in the same city. My husband, although he understands why I called the cops, thinks I took it a bit too far. He believes that I could have called him or his father for help. So Reddit, am I wrong for calling the cops on my mother-in-law for ruining my baby shower and pretending to be the actual mommy of the baby? Update 1. I am overwhelmed with the response I have received since deciding to post about my baby shower. I would like to thank everyone for supporting my decision to call the cops. I had never witnessed such an aggressive reaction from my mother-in-law before, and the level of aggression she displayed at the baby shower left me genuinely concerned about the possibility of physical harm, especially considering the potential impact on my unborn child. Since the incident, every guest who attended the baby shower has reached out to express their support. Some of them have even shared recordings of the entire debacle, which I intend to show to my husband. My plan is to have a serious conversation with him in the coming weekend about the future with his mother. Update 2. I showed the recording to my husband. As mentioned earlier, my husband and I found ourselves sitting down for a serious conversation about the events that had transpired. I explained to him in detail how his mother's behavior had escalated throughout the entire ordeal, from the hidden pregnancy revelation to the outrageous baby shower. I described in detail the yelling, accusations, and bizarre gifts she presented. I then shared the recordings with him, which he watched visibly horrified. Watching the videos seemed to bring a reality check for him, making him confront the uncomfortable truth about his mother's actions. He started to sincerely apologize to me for underestimating the severity of the situation and acknowledged that I was right in calling the cops. I had no idea they had gotten this bad. I'm so sorry you had to go through all that, he expressed, his face reflecting both regret and frustration. He admitted that he had never imagined his mother could be this toxic, as this behavior seemed so out of character for her. He reassured me that he was on my side and emphasized that my safety and well-being, especially during pregnancy, were his top priorities. We then delved into the underlying issues, discussing how his mother's need for control and validation had overshadowed what should have been a joyous occasion. Gary, grappling with the reality of his mother's actions, shared his own concerns about her behavior and acknowledged that she had crossed a line. I told him that after how his mother had behaved with me in front of everyone, I wanted to cut all ties with her. I continued to tell him that he could have a relationship with her if he wanted, but me and our child would not be a part of her life, at least until his mother went for counseling to deal with her aggressive behavior. Hearing this, Gary expressed that what his mother had done was beyond disgusting, and he was willing to cut ties with her as well. I assured him that he did not have to do any such thing, but my husband insisted that his mother had disrespected me and therefore did not have the right to be in our lives anymore. He understood that his mother's behavior was not just about the baby shower, but might have been a culmination of long-standing issues. Moving ahead, Gary has reassured me that he will personally communicate our decision to his mother, making it clear that cutting her off from our lives is entirely his choice. I have also asked him to warn her that if she decides to show up unexpectedly at our doorstep to force me to accept her back into our lives, then I will be forced to call the cops on her again. Update 3. It's been a month since my last update. To everyone asking, me and the baby are doing okay. I can't wait to meet my child very soon as the date approaches. Since my last update, we have ceased all communication with Barbara. Gary had a conversation with his parents, and his father assured him that he would take the necessary steps to ensure that my mother-in-law understands the boundaries we've set and respects our decision. In the aftermath of cutting ties with Barbara, our lives have experienced a noticeable shift. The absence of constant drama and toxicity has brought about a newfound sense of peace and tranquility in our household. Gary and I are now able to focus on preparing for the arrival of our baby without the looming cloud of Barbara's disruptions. The support we received from friends and family has been invaluable during this challenging time. My parents and my close friends have been pillars of strength, offering their encouragement and understanding. Even some family members who were initially unaware of the extent of Barbara's behavior have come forward to express their support after witnessing the shocking events at the baby shower through the viral videos. Our journey is far from over, but this experience has strengthened our bond and highlighted the importance of facing challenges together as a united front. The decision to sever ties with Barbara was not made lightly, but it has proven to be a necessary step for our well-being. While there may be lingering challenges, we are optimistic about the positive changes this choice has brought into our lives. As we eagerly await the arrival of our little one, we are determined to build a loving and supportive family environment that prioritizes the well-being of both parents and child.